This is of the history of Holy Week or Semana Santa. Holy Week in the Christian year is week immediately before Easter. The earliest allusion to the custom of marking this week as a whole with special observances to be found in the apostolical constitutions, dating from the latter half of the 3rd century and 4th century. In this text, abstinence from flesh is commanded for all days, while for the Friday and Saturday, fast is commanded. Dionysius Alexandrinus, in his canonical epistle AD 260, refers to the 91 fasting days, implying that the observance of them had already become an established usage in this time. There is some doubt about the genuineness of our ordinance attributed to Roman Emperor Constantine, in which abstinence from public business was enforced for 7 days immediately preceding Easter Day and also for the 7 which followed it. The Codex Theodosianus, however, is explicit in ordering that all actions at law should case at the doors of all courts of law close during those 15 days. On the particular days of the Great Week, the earliest to emerge into special prominence was naturally Good Friday. Next came the Sabbatum Magnum or Great Sabbath, Holy Saturday or Easter Eve, with its vigil, which is the early church was associated with an expectation that the second advent would occur on an Easter day. Other writings that refer to related tradition of the early church include most notably the pilgrimage of Eteria, also known as the pilgrimage of Egeria, which details the whole observance of his Holy Week at that time. Today in the Western Christian Church, among Lutherans, Anglicans, Methodists, Presbyterians, and Catholics, the liturgies used the Holy Week are nearly identical. In the Moravian Church, in the Holy Week services, Passion Week, are extensive as the congregation follows the life of the Christ through his final week in daily services dedicated to readings for a harmony of the gospel stories, responding to the actions in hymns, prayers, and litanies beginning on the eve of Palm Sunday and culminating in the Easter morning or Easter sunrise service begun by the Moravians in 1732. Palm Sunday or Passion Sunday. Holy Week begins with Palm Sunday, which may also known as Passion Sunday. In some denominations traditionally, Palm Sunday commemorates the triumph entry into Jerusalem, described in all 4 canonical Gospels. As described in accounts, Jesus' entry into Jerusalem was noted by the crowds present who shouted praises and waved palm branches. In the Roman Rite before 1955, it was known simply as Palm Sunday, as the preceding Sunday as Passion Sunday from 1955 to 1971. It was called Second Sunday in Passiontide or Palm Sunday. Among Lutherans and Anglicans, the day is known as the Sunday of the Passion, Palm Sunday. In many liturgical denominations, to commemorate the Messiah's entry into Jerusalem. To accomplish his Paschal mystery, it is customary to have a blessing of palm leaves or other branches. For example, olive branches. The blessing ceremony includes the reading of a gospel account of how Jesus rode into Jerusalem humble on a donkey, reminiscent of Davidic victory procession, and how people placed palm branches on the ground in front of him. Immediately following this great time of celebration over the entrance of Jesus into Jerusalem, he begins his journey to the cross. The blessing is thus followed by a procession solemn entrance into the church, with the participants holding the begins the journey to the cross. The blessing is followed the procession, the entrance into the church, with the participants holding the blessed branches in their hands. The Mass of service of worship itself includes a reading of a passion, the narrative of Jesus' captured suffering and death, as recounted in one of the synoptic gospels. In the Tridenning Mass, the Passion narrative read on this day with always that of Saint Matthew. Before the redeem of the rite of the Pope plus XII, the blessing of the palms, occurred inside the church with a service that follows the general outline of a Mass with collect, epistle, and gospel. As far as the Sanctus, the palms were then blessed with 5 prayers, and a procession went out of the church. On its return, included ceremony for the reopening of the doors, which had meantime been shut. After this, the normal Mass was celebrated. Holy Monday to Spy Wednesday. The days between Palm Sunday and Holy Thursday, as known as Holy Monday, Holy Tuesday, and Spy Wednesday. Holy Wednesday. The Gospel accounts are not always clear or in an agreement on the events which occurred on these days, though there are traditional observances held by some denominations to commemorate certain events from the last days of Jesus' life. Among them, on Holy Monday, some observe the anointing of Jesus at Bethany, an event in the Gospel of John occurred before the Palm Sunday, even described in John 12 verse 12 to 19. Other events which the Gospel tell in which may have occurred on this day include cursing the fig tree and the cleansing of the temple. On Holy Tuesday, some observe Jesus' predictions of his own death as described in John 12 verse 20 to 36 and John 13 verse 21 to 38. In Tridenning Mass, the Passion, according to Saint Mark, is read instead. On Spy Wednesday, some observe the story of Judas arranging his betrayal of Jesus with the chief priest. For this reason, the day is sometimes called Spy Wednesday. In the Tridenning Mass, the Passion, according to Saint Luke, is read instead. Other events connected with this date include the events at the house of Simon the leper, especially the anointing of Jesus by Mary of Bethany, the events of which directly preceded the betrayal by Judas, and to the Sanhedrin. The Chrism Mass, who takes the Roman Missal, now gives under Holy Thursday, but before Paschal Triduum, which begins that evening may be brought forward up to one of those days to facilitate participation by as many as possible of the clergy of the diocese together with the bishop. The Mass was not included editions of the Roman Missal of the time of Pope plus XII. In this Mass, the bishop blesses separate oils for the sick, use anointing of the sick, for catechumens, use baptism and chrism, use in baptism, especially in confirmation, in the holy orders, as well as the rites such as the dedication of altar and a church. And this is of history of Holy Week and or Semana Santa. Magandang gabi, maligayang bakasyon sa mga magtatapos ng pag-aaral. Palaging magdasal sa Panginoon at higit sa lahat, manampalataya sa Diyos. Good night and God bless.